Hi, my name is Luca, and in this video, me and my fellow colleagues, David, Jack, Stefan, and Andrew, will discuss the different influences media and technology has had on sport in general, as well as its influence on boxing and how it has been used to develop the sport and its accompanying governing body. Sport has come a long way ever since the first modern Olympic Games took place in Athens, Greece in 1896, where only 14 countries participated. Whether it's been the creation of new sports or simply the ability to watch sport being played on the other side of the planet from the comfort of your own home, sport has changed significantly, and a big part of it deriving from the influences of media and technology. These changes over time, such as the switch from radio to television, have all played a big role in the growth of sport that we now see being played in our world today. One of the major impacts media and technology has had in sport is commercialization. The role of media and technology to attract and reach large audiences across the globe has seen sport turn into a very lucrative business for companies that are looking to make a profit. According to Robert Davies, the annual retail market of the sporting goods industry, which does not include media revenues, sponsorship, gambling, etc., has said to be estimated at around $600 billion, made up of small and big companies. The growth of the sporting industry has allowed organizations to gain significant competitive advantages through the use of advertising, sponsorship, and broadcasting rights, among other avenues. This additional income can be used to improve facilities as well as acquire higher quality players and additional staff to strengthen the organization. The result of this allows big organizations with large audiences to continue earning the most money, leading to the ever widening gap between the top and the bottom of the industry. An example of this would be in the English Premier League, where commercial funding has been a huge financial bonus that is being mostly accumulated by the more successful clubs with larger global audiences that helps them earn more money and acquire the best players. This in turn means that the few clubs such as the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool, to name a couple, will continue to dominate the league, while clubs in the bottom of the table will struggle to compete with far less resources. Increased competitiveness among athletes in sports across the globe has allowed some athletes achieving the unthinkable, while others are looking to follow in their footsteps. This has created a much higher overall performance level in sports and led athletes to utilize the growth of technological equipment in society to help them reach performance levels they have never been able to prior. The development of equipment, facilities, and playing surfaces have all played a part of this. Athletes and teams now utilize these assets, such as video analysis, to analyze their performances and learn from their past mistakes. New and improved equipment has also added to the competitive aspect of sports. For example, in cycling, the introduction of carbon fiber bikes that are aerodynamically designed to make them lighter and faster has led to much quicker race times. A variety of media and technological advancements have also helped with many other aspects of sport, such as athlete safety, officiating, and spectating. Specific advances in technology has become a major factor in providing athlete safety, which has been a big problem in recent years, especially in contact sports such as rugby and American football. A study conducted by JAMA in 2017 found 99% of former American football players in the NFL to have CTE, which is a degenerative disease in the brain due to a history of repetitive brain trauma. Since then, the league has used concussion devices and protocols as well as advanced medical equipment to ensure player safety and has made it the main priority in the sport to help prevent harm to the body that can affect life after sport. Other medical advances have allowed athletes in various sports across the world to return from injury quicker and stronger than ever before. The creation of Hawkeye technology by British computer expert Paul Hawkins in 2001 created a domino effect for officiating technology to come. Before that, all games were dependent on referees making calls, which allows a game to flow better but is susceptible to human error that can create a drastic influence on the outcome of a match. For example, the use of video replays and Hawkeye technology in different sports has helped officials make the right calls, some of which are too difficult to be made by the naked eye. especially during a high-paced match. Not only does this improve the level of fairness within sport, but it also creates a more edge-of-the-seat drama for spectators, as the incident in question adds suspense and uncertainty to the game while being reviewed. This entertainment value is a key component in sport that attracts such large audiences and keeps spectators coming back for more. Other aspects that have provided value to spectators is the improvements of facilities and stadiums where fans support their team. Facilities have become very sophisticated and complex compared to traditional ones created decades ago. Some of the newer ones now implement retractable playing surfaces, variable seating configurations, and retractable roofs that can provide additional comfort for players, spectators, officials, and coaches when conditions are extremely poor. The growth of media has also given fans the ability to engage with their sports team from different parts of the world. The notable transition from radio to television was not only a massive stepping stone for society in general, but also for sports. The combination of media and sport has become a powerful force in the modern world, as it has allowed sport to reach immense audiences, leading to economic power and influences in countries around the globe. According to Robert Davies, the last World Cup and Olympic Games was reported to be viewed by 2.3 billion people, which is more than 30% of the world's population. However, with improved technology to give audiences the same feel and pleasure watching it from your own home, attendance of live matches has decreased in recent years, leading to increased costs of these television channels to get more people to attend the event. Sport has not only been a benefit to invested companies, organizations, and athletes, but also to the world as a whole, as it has empowered positive values and ethics such as good health, peace, and unity to bring people of all races, backgrounds, gender, and religion together and spread these values across the world through media and technology. Sport is a big factor in promoting a healthy and balanced lifestyle by providing the opportunity to give people a lifelong involvement in physical activity. The media plays a role in promoting these benefits by transmitting messages across different platforms. Television can have a massive impact on participation rates in certain sports, one of them being table tennis. According to Dinesh Saini in the International Journal of Applied Research, when table tennis was being shown on television between 1980 and 1984, participation in the sport rose by 70%. When it was no longer being covered, participation dropped by a third. Media and technology will continue to influence sports and its growth in a variety of different aspects.
For this section, we will discuss some of the different ways in which technology and media has influenced boxing and transformed the sport. Some of the topics which will be discussed include the introduction of pay-per-view and how the evolution of pay-per-views influenced boxing. We will also discuss the influence that media currently has on the sport. We will also discuss many different ways in which media are currently being used by boxers, companies, and even the fans. To start, we will go back to the very beginning with the introduction of pay-per-view. As the first ever boxing fight on pay-per-view took place in 1948 between Joe Louis and Joe Walcott. Boxing on pay-per-view started to become more popular in the 1960s and 1970s due to the rise of Muhammad Ali, as his Rumble in the Jungle fight drew 50 million buys in 1974, with his Thrilla in Manila fight 1 year later generating 100 million buys. The term pay-per-view was created for these televised events which require a fee to watch in the 1980s as a result of concert, movies, and the WWE using this same tactic as boxing to televise events and make a profit in the making. In the current era of boxing, the main UK television provider of big boxing fights is Sky Sports, as they stream big fights regularly late on a Saturday night, usually for a fee of $19.95. In 2015, the Floyd Mayweather vs Manny Pacquiao fight was dubbed the fight of the century. The fight generated over $400 million, resulting in this pay-per-view becoming the highest grossing pay-per-view in history. 2 years later, Mayweather had the second highest grossing pay-per-view as he fought UFC fighter Conor McGregor in a fight which was dubbed the Money Fight. The fight broke UK records as the most bought boxing pay-per-view in UK history according to Sky Sports. The evolution of television throughout the years has had a huge impact on boxing, as throughout the years boxing has become available to watch worldwide. In the UK, the big boxing fights are shown on Saturday nights on Sky Sports box office. As the sport has become more popular, more money has been generated through boxing, which in turn has resulted in the quality of the events improving, such as fights taking place in bigger arenas, higher quality cameras being used, having commentator and pundit opinions being heard, being able to get additional camera angles at the important moments. As a result of all this, the fight gets turned into a high production television show, which in turn would generate a high income for the fighters themselves. Additionally, television has given boxing a bigger platform to promote their sponsors, but also the chance for the boxers to promote themselves. Boxing has benefited largely due to the rise of social media over the years, as social media has given the boxers a platform to build their fan base outside the boxing ring by showing more of their personality, which they use to promote upcoming fights, promote sponsors, and to build their own brand. Through social media, amateur boxing organisations can use this as a platform to promote, recruit, and stream events. Social media has also given boxers, pundits, and even the fans a bigger platform to share their opinions on. Boxers and companies would use a wide range of different social media platforms to promote, which with the most popular platforms being Facebook, Twitter. Technology has been created in the modern day to help assist boxers and athletes reach their full potential in their sport. Some examples in boxing include the creation of strike bands, high-tech dummies, apps, clothing, supplements, drug testing, and the improvement of gym equipment. Gym force bands are used to measure the force of the boxer's punches. They can also be used to monitor training and see improvements in endurance levels by measuring the heart rate of the wearer. High-tech dummies can be used as a punching bag, which measures speed, power, and strength of a punch. Additionally, the advancement of training equipment has helped the sport as clothing and safety equipment has been designed to aid the athletes. The advancement of technology has resulted in supplements being created which are safe and legal to use.
Introduction to sponsorship. Sponsorship is a business relationship between a provider of funds, resources, or services and an individual event or organisation. In return, they will get rights to promoting their product, service, or business. This may be used for commercial advantage in return for the sponsorship event investment. Boxing has many sponsors. It can vary from sponsoring a fighter, event, or equipment. Boxing can also have massive audiences. This means sponsorships are keen to get involved and have a relationship. An example of many sponsorships is Mayweather vs Pacquiao. This was a professional boxing match between undefeated 5-division world champion Floyd Mayweather and 8-division world champion Manny Pacquiao. It was hosted on May 2nd, 2015 at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. This fight was one of the most anticipated boxing matches of all time. This meant that all organisations and businesses wanted to sponsor this fight. Sponsorships are one of the main revenue income and increases the publicity of the event. The sponsorship numbers were very impressive, shattering all previous sponsorship records. The exact numbers were not known, but it's believed to be between $3.5 and $4 million brought in by the past Mayweather fight. The big sponsorship deal for the fight is a $5.6 million sponsorship from Tecate. This was the official beer of the fight. Tecate has sponsored Pacquiao fights and top-ranked events for several years. Its bid beat the $5.2 million bid from Corona, the beer company that had sponsored Mayweather's recent fight. The Tecate logo will prominently be featured on the centre of the ring mat, adorned fight signage and posters, and the beer will be sold at the arena on the fight night. Gustavo Guerrera said, "We have been sponsoring boxing since 2007, so we have been associating ourselves with boxing and been waiting for so many years for a fight like this. We wanted to increase our brand awareness and we'll achieve it with this fight. This shows us that they use boxing as their main way of promoting their product. This is good because it'll get onto a global stage, will make their beer more popular, plus the sales and will actually be made at the event. This will influence boxing getting such big sponsorships like this, because it means they can get the event on a global stage. And a surprise achievement was a sponsorship made just 8 weeks before the fight. This sponsorship was on Pacquiao shorts, and this was worth $2.3 million alone. Most of the deals were made by somebody called Luca McKelvey. This is the executive vice president of Top Rank. Pundits can be very, very influential on boxing because they have expert views and experience in the sport. The influence of pundits affects the way we view the game, both before, during, or after the game. On TV, you'll have a build-up to the match, where pundits will give their opinions of how the match may go. Another way pundits can influence boxing is it can be very controversial, which it comes to boxing, because millions will watch the match or highlights, which means not everything they say will not be agreed on. They can often cause debates, however this can make the boxing match more interesting to view to see who was right. If an incident in the match seen by the public, a pundit could make a comment about this and make the audience think twice and agree or disagree with the comments made, which leads to a debate. This is normally done at the end of the fight, as they can make a perform in-depth analysis on every punch, defence or foul play. It allows them to cover all areas of boxing which may not have been done many years ago. The influence of public opinions. Public opinions can be very influential when it comes to sport and boxing. If public opinion are positive on a sport, it is more likely they will watch it. Also, public opinions can travel around fast, almost like word of mouth. This is good because it is free publicity for the sport.
Nowadays, high-profile professional boxing matches can attract millions of viewers worldwide, such as the Mayweather vs Pacquiao fight in 2015. The amount of media hype which surrounded this fight was incredible and brought in millions for each fighter. Twitter, Instagram and all other platforms were flooded with interviews, weigh-ins and ads which increased the hype and therefore increased the overall audience. It set you back £65 to watch one of the biggest fights in history due to its pay-per-view cost. This was as a result of the demand brought by the media hype. Amateur boxing is usually shown as a free-to-air service because it doesn't have the same level of following. This is due to the lack of media coverage of amateur boxing in comparison to professional boxing, which has a much larger media coverage. Media is widely used in all sports. However, it is more predominantly used in boxing. It is used as a way to hype up fights through interviews, weigh-ins and press conferences, which attract millions of viewers on social media platforms before the actual fight has even begun. As a direct result of increased media coverage before the fight, the amount of spectators is increased, and therefore making the event an overall bigger success. Because of this, fighters who are good on the mic are proven to be more successful, such as Conor McGregor, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. They all were some of the biggest stars in boxing, not only because of their fighting skills, but also because of their mic skills. Media is also used to start interest in fights through trash talk through media platforms such as Twitter or Instagram. Most famously used in the Mayweather vs McGregor fight, in which all the hype was started through social media trash talk. Twitter was flooded with tweets from both fighters, constantly digging at each other and throwing insults around. This hyped up the fight and made it one of the most successful boxing bouts ever to happen in our lifetime. Media has largely increased the participation in boxing due to its increased amount of media coverage in the last few years, especially in England. This is mainly due to the recent Olympic Games in 2012 in London. Since the Olympic Games took place in 2012, the amount of females participating in boxing per week has increased from 19,600 to 35,100 now. This is due to the amount of outreach women's boxing has gained from the media for being in the Olympic Games. The media also has a large effect on the event programming of large boxing fights. Big and largely covered boxing fights are played later on in the fight card. This is because media hype increases people to tune in during the fights and therefore increase the overall audience. For example, if it can be remembered, the McGregor-Mayweather fight didn't start till around 6:30 a.m. in the morning, UK time. This is as a result of other fights happening beforehand to, as I said before, increase the amount of media coverage throughout the fight card. There were other large boxing bouts, but everyone was waiting to see the biggest boxing fight in history, which was the Mayweather-McGregor fight. Technology in boxing has not yet become as big as an influence during fights, such as that of VAR in football, for example, who has come under a lot of recent criticism recently due to its effect on results. Mainly, technology comes into play with training in boxing, with things such as motion sensors, which detect movement and they are used to improve the boxer's movement through reviewing and improving. Heart rate monitors and instant replays are also heavily used in training to improve fitness and correct errors, as it is possible to watch back fights and training sessions. Famously, boxers constantly review the instant replays of their opponents to work out their every move and see what types of punches and combos they're going to throw. This helps fighters overcome their opponents and recently has become one of the most commonly used technologies in boxers training and of course in fights.
Social media is a brilliant way for clubs and sports all over the world, not just boxing, to increase their scope of supporters. Boxing England have a very decent following with over 15,000 followers on Twitter and Instagram. The development and the use of social media has allowed England boxing to promote themselves and what they do for their amateur boxers, but also allow that interaction with the fans, which is very important and what fans want these days. They're allowed to do Q&As, post pictures and videos, keeping them updated with the sport that they love. It brings that engagement and the communication closer. In last year, in 2018, Dossier made a report, and whether social media has played a part in this or not, but participation rates have risen to 772,000. Cameras and video technology are important for all sports in the modern era. People can watch a range of boxing matches from around the world due to the cameras videoing the match. They allow for the sport not just to be televised but also recorded for training purposes as well, which is why a lot of NGBs are starting to use the technology that they've got. In 1939 we saw the first ever boxing match being televised in America between Americans Max Baer and Lou Nova, and since then boxing has televised millions upon millions of boxing matches from all over the world, and people can watch from all over the world. People enjoy watching sports from the comfort of their own home sometimes. However, big media companies have sometimes put high pay-per-view prices for the top fights, with the athletes who have got attract a lot of media attention. We look at the example we've got here is Mayweather vs Pacquiao in 2015. The pay-per-view price, according to USA Today, have said that the price was $89.95, and it was an extra $10 on top of this, which is still a very costly price. An extra $10 just to watch the fight in HD, and there has been many complaints that have said that the high pay-per-view prices are the reason why people don't engage as much with boxing anymore. The development of this technology and the use of it has allowed for greater media exposure for boxing as a whole. Usually the greater media exposure, the increased participation, and in England Boxing's case, this has came true. They released a report in 2018 that they've seen 160,000 more people get involved with boxing around there across the UK. But they don't just use the cameras just for the media exposure. They use it for training purposes as well. They'll use them for video analysis, using all the different camera angles that they've got access to. to look at techniques, to look at styles, to look at opponent styles possibly as well. But yeah, boxing, England boxing, they do allow their members to watch fights for free. Most amateur fights that are televised, they are free anyway, but they are very rarely televised because they don't have the amount of fans that obviously professional fighters do. But also, England boxing, they've got a YouTube channel which has over 7,000 subscribers, and obviously non-members. Wearable technology is a very new and modern set of technologies to be introduced into boxing. They are great for training and allowing athletes to continue to improve and develop their skills, because there are many types of technologies which focus on different aspects of the boxer's skills. For example, the high scope punch tracker will focus mainly on punching. For example, the power of the punch, how fast each punch is after the next right hand, left hand. All these and the stats that are created using this wearable technology are sent and connected through the internet when Bluetooth technology sends into a database which can be accessed from the trainer and the athletes themselves, so they can see what needs to be improved and how possibly they can improve this skill. This type of technology does allow for improved safety in boxing, because they can tell you what and how to improve this skill without harming yourself or any opponents if they are getting used in a spar or a training match. England boxing and their young amateur athletes, they have had access to these technologies, and they have received some great feedback. Some saying it has improved their boxing games, which tells you how good these type of technologies are into boxing. However, England boxing, they do have over 100 affiliated clubs in the UK, and some clubs have not been able to have this access, which has meant athletes have missed out on the opportunity of using these type of technologies, because they aren't cheap, they are very pricey. We can see the example we've got here as well. Again, the high scope punch tracker, the cheapest one is £160.95, and obviously with their limited funding they can't get this across to all affiliated clubs. It has certainly had an influence, and they have had positive feedback of using these types of technologies, but like I said, the limited funding does mean people and the athletes can miss out. And yeah,